Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
They're polite. I mean, they just take the time for you.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
I like the Angels for what they've done for me.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks as always to the producer of our series, Jeff Durall. We're in the President's office at Sheridan Hall on the campus of Fort Hays State University with a visit with Fort Hays State President Dr. Mirta Martin as we talk about events post-commencement with President Martin. Let's begin, if we might, with an update on the Hispanic College Institute, if we might. The deadline for registration is in, the goal to have 150 students to participate. Tell us about the Institute to begin with and some of the things we might need to know, President Martin.
Well, the Institute will have its inaugural start the week of June 22nd. It is a 4-night, 3-day event, 4-day, 3-night event rather, that attracts first-generation students of the Hispanic descent to the campus of the university. Throughout the nation, the Hispanic population is the fastest growing minority in the United States, and yet, regrettably, they are not keeping up with graduation rates. Many of them, as has been for many years, those who are of immigrant descent, need to go to work, immediately to support their families, to support large families, and especially for many of the immigrants, not only do they need to support families here, but they need to support families back home, whatever nation they come from. So many of these individuals, again, being first generation, are having to work double jobs, 3 jobs to put food on the table here and to send them back home. That's not necessarily different from first-generation students. I've often said that a first-generation student is a first-generation student. It's a first-generation student. It doesn't matter whether you come off the fields and the farms of Kansas or whether you come off of Timbuktu. You still, if you don't know what you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And the work ethic is the same. When, in our many of our first-generation students that come here from Fort Hays, they have 6, 7, 8 children, siblings at home. They have worked with their parents to help them to work in their farms, in their fields. And so for many of them, it's not that they don't want to go to college, they just don't know how to go to college. And we're making great stride into that population. We haven't made great stride into the Hispanic population. So this inaugural Hispanic College Institute is designed to teach that population of students how to navigate the American educational system. Their parents often don't speak English, and because they're working 2 and 3 jobs, oftentimes don't have the opportunity to go to school to learn how to speak English. So therefore, when the child has an issue or has a question, they don't know how to go to that counselor, that teacher, to say, help my child. And so this 4-day event is designed through a series of workshops to attract these students. They will live on the campus of the university. The Institute is staffed by 100% by volunteers who will donate their time to teach them about technology, to teach them about networking, to teach them about the fact that how do they fill out a college application, how to fill out the FAFSA, even though they'll need 2 PhDs to do so. But these students will have to help their parents teach and help their parents fill out that financial aid form. So it's important that they are given the tools by which they're able to apply to college. They'll have opportunities to compete for scholarships. They will have social times. They will be put together in what we call families, group of 5 or 6 boys with 1 lead, so that they can identify themselves. For example, Ulysses Gonzalez was our Student Government Association president this past year. He's of Hispanic descent. when a student who is also of Hispanic descent looks at him, they see somebody that they can identify with. There's only 4 years difference. And Ulysses can identify with those students because he remembers. It wasn't all that long ago. And so they form this incredible bond because they can say, I was sitting where you're sitting 4 years ago. And now I'm graduating. And not only did I graduate, but look at the impact. Look at the opportunities that I was afforded by going to school. I was involved in clubs. I created new friends. I even became Student Government Association president. Those are tremendous accolades that resonate with these new students, as opposed to having somebody like me who is their parent. You know, they look at me and it's like, yeah, mommy, okay, mommy. Okay. So, but there is a myriad of volunteers at all ages. Because, for example, one of the workshops is, we call it Hispanic Stars. They're individuals from the 22-year-old, from the 20-year-old to the 50, the 60, the 70-year-old who are of Hispanic descent that can speak to those students about the path to get where we've been. And the understanding that what you're doing today, I was also doing. The difference is that you have now a network and I didn't. You know, and I think it's important, oftentimes when you're 17, when you're 18, when you're isolated, you think that your hardships are unique to you. And they're not. And I think we need to communicate that better. So this entire week will be filled, these 4 days will be filled with opportunities for these students to come and experience what it is to be in college. The third day, we call it the NASA Day, that's on Friday. It's a day dedicated to explaining to the students the anticipation, the energy, the excitement that only the STEM field, that the STEM field can provide, so that they're not afraid of it. Oftentimes you see students who are frightened of going into the sciences, and they shouldn't be. And so we're opening the world of science to these students, whether it's during the day, many of our faculty will be allowing them hands-on experience to design drones or to go storm chasing or to pull out balloons, helium balloons, to track the barometric pressure. We also will have a keynote speaker, and that's a really, really neat story. I was, it's always been, the third day has always been a NASA day. And so I met a gentleman in one of my travels that happens to be a Fort Hays State University alumni. And this gentleman's in charge of the Orion project. You know, so it is incredible, and for various reasons, because, you know, you and I have spoken so often about the fact that we do so many things so very well at Fort Hays. But one of the things we don't do is we don't tell our story. We don't toot our own horn. We don't showcase the excellence, the distinctiveness, the love of our alumni, of our students. You know, here's somebody who's in charge of the Orion project. We've got people that are in charge of hospitals. We have individuals throughout the world that are leading multi-billion-dollar corporations. And it all started at Fort Hays State. And so this gentleman is coming home to give the keynote speech, to give footage of the launch of the Orion project to these students. So we're very, very happy of that. And then, of course, the last day is a day of celebration. It's a day of the closing ceremonies, and we invite parents to Fort Hays State so that they can walk our campus, so they can see the beauty of our campus, they can see the safety of our campus, so that then. And yes, they'll get to speak to the president as well. But it's designed so that they understand that we understand that these children, and I say it all the times to parents, we understand that these children are these parents' most precious possession. They are mine. You know, my children are mine. Their children become my children. When they get here, they become the children of our faculty, or staff, of our community members. We understand that they're their most precious possession. and we commit to look after them. And so, we're very excited about this because it opens the door to a population that is fast growing here in Kansas, that needs to understand the value of education so that they too can achieve their American dream. And my hope is that this will be the precursor to many institutes, so that we can reach out to that first generation of students who don't know what they don't know, so that they understand that the path to living the American dream is through education. And at Fort Hays, we're ready to be able to collaborate with them, to walk next to them in that path of greatness.
You referenced briefly travels, and right after commencement, it still was a very busy time for our President Martin.
Yes, and this year especially, which is a great year, right after commencement, I'm going to jump in the car, and obeying all the laws of the state of Kansas, I'm going to fly in my car to Wichita so I can get on a plane with John.
With husband John.
Yes, he was of course coming for commencement, so that we can get in a plane to go back to Virginia. We'll get there at midnight so we can take a car to go down to Carolina to attend Patrick's graduation. He, as you remember, I was not able to attend his baccalaureate graduation from the University of Virginia last year, but
it occurred right at the time of Fort Hays commencement, which was your first,
delivering
and you
my
had
speech.
to miss it.
Yes,
but not this year.
Not this year. I'm going to go ahead and go down there for his master's graduation, and they have convocation on Sunday night, and then graduation on Monday, and then I'll drive back to Richmond with John so I can get on a plane to come back home to Kansas, to go to the Kansas Board of Regents for half a day so I can get on a plane to go to China for 2 commencement ceremonies. And then after the 2 commencement ceremonies, we're going on to Cambodia. We talked about the last time that we were together that we're exploring a partnership with a university in Cambodia. So since we're in that side of the world, we're going to go and visit with them to try to solidify that relationship and that partnership. And then eventually I will get back home here. I think I get back home around June the 6th. And then shortly thereafter, on the 17th of June, we have the President's Club Gala, where we have a couple of surprises for those attending, and we will be unveiling 3 incredible murals that depict the beginning of the journey of Fort Hays State University. We have 3 other murals that we'll unveil during commencement, during
the President's time.
Well, the President's side will be, the President's Club dinner will be the first 3, but then we have 3 other murals that we will unveil during homecoming, because it's our 100th year celebration of the Alumni Association. So we're looking forward to bringing lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of alumni back home where they belong. And those 6 murals will depict the journey of Fort Hays State University, from where we started to where we plan to go.
Oh, wow.
So it's a time of great, great celebration. Joel Dugan, who is a masterful artist, has been painting that journey, and I can't wait to showcase it. We're very, very thankful for the dedication and the selfless sacrifice that he has afforded us in painting this journey. Many students have also taken part in this painting. So we're very excited to be able to unveil it.
And finally, in our last couple of minutes here, you mentioned some of the things ahead for the summer at Fort Hays State University. Of course, the ongoing construction, which will be taking place through the summertime.
Work, 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 and more work, work, work. You know, the summer people think that, so I'll regress very quickly, and then so I can go forward. When I was in the banking industry, people would always talk about banker's hours. Oh yeah, 2 o'clock, you go home. Yeah.
Right.
2 o'clock is when the work begins, because it's when, back then you used to close the doors at 2 o'clock. Now we stay open until 8 o'clock at night, so there's no downtime. But back then, yes, the banks closed at 2 o'clock, and then the drive-through open until 5 or so, but the lobby was closed. So everybody would come, oh, you work in a bank, banker's hours. You know, I'm going, yeah, right, banker's hours at 11 o'clock at night. Well, there is the same perception about teachers, about faculty, about education, that here comes the summer and everything shuts down.
Yeah, 3 months off.
You know, 3 months off. We twiddle our fingers. It's time for me to get my pedicure. It's time for me to get to the spa. No. That's the time when the real work gets done. That's the time when all of the things, all of the administrative things, all of the planning, all of the strategic directive, that's when we really sit down and are able to look at how do we prepare the university to face what's coming in the coming year, both good and not so good. How do we prepare for that which we do not know? So we have to do projections, and it's a time for us to meet, and faculty, it's a time for faculty to revise their syllabi to make them more current. It's a time for our staff to go ahead and look at our campus and see what needs to be met, what is it that the faculty are going to need, what do they anticipate that the faculty are going to need so that they can prepare for them. It's a time for admissions department to prepare to bring our students. We have, as you know, tours of students coming in during campus for orientation, for so on and so forth. And so it is a time of great excitement, but it's a time of great work at Fort Hays State University.
So you're telling me that when Jeff and I show up in June to the president's office on the 3rd floor at Sheridan Hall, that I won't see an on vacation sign on the door then?
No, I think it will be a sign that says, continuing the journey
Open
to
for
excellence.
business.
That's right. Taking care of business.
President Mirta Martin, our Community Connection.
Thank you.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hays and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
And the Angel Care nurse comes to see me once a week.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Angel Care has helped to stay home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.